Welcome to the Midlife Shift, juicy conversations to help you thrive after 50.
Everybody wants to live better, wants to look better, wants to stay younger.
If we are talking about the future, there's nothing better you can do than to make sure that you've got some moolah.
I can't stand the whole, oh no, I've got no regrets.
Yeah.
Really? Have you lived a life?
Join us as we shake things up and talk about the things that matter and maybe a few things that don't. When nutrition science meets sanity, we need to talk to an accredited practicing dietitian. We've got Geraldine Georgiou with us, 30 years experience as an APD.
Yep.
She's the author of Healthy Skin Diet, and you work regularly with doctors and medical specialists to treat conditions and disease through diet and nutrition.
True.
Welcome. But I want to know, if health is real wealth, Geraldine, what do we need to invest in food and diet?
Yeah, well, I think we get so busy. And look, firstly, thanks for having me, Ali. It's like, gosh, I don't know how long it's been, a couple of years.
A couple of years.
And yeah, I think we do definitely have to invest in our nutrition. Now, whole foods, we talk about it. We're so busy, we're time poor, but we need to spend time on ourselves.
Yeah, but we hear a lot about whole foods. What does that really mean?
Yeah, I think we think about unprocessed foods.
Okay.
And think about, like, how did we grow up? Just think about how were we fed by our mums?
Well, I quite liked my TikTok biscuits and my Monte Carlos, which I don't think are whole foods, but I probably would have thought they were when I was 5.
But they would have been a treat, right?
That's right.
So I think we need to understand that where are our macronutrients coming from? Fueling our car. Like, we've got to learn to drive our car. We've got to help the driver drive the car. So fuel it well.
And macronutrients, that you're talking about carbs, protein, those kinds of things. Can you explain what they really mean in like everyday language when we're at the supermarket?
100%. So I think people firstly have become very carb phobic. That's
Yeah,
the first
totally.
thing. But we need that as fuel. So low GI carbs, whole grain breads, cereals, the humble potato. The potato's got good source of resistant starch. It's going to feed our body, feed our guts, making sure we've got a good source of low GI carbs. Lean proteins, there's a wealth of proteins out there. So we're talking about animal proteins, lean red meats, chicken, fish, of course, and omega-3s. But then also you've got the tofus, which are rich in estrogen effective foods. Making sure we're getting a good source of protein at every meal, and then good fats. I always tell my patients, have we got a protein, a carb, and a good fat at each meal?
All right. Okay. And good fats, let's talk about what that looks like, right?
Well, my Greek husband will say olive oil all the way. So
Extra virgin olive oil is what we've done in our past podcasts. And Australia actually has some of the best extra virgin olive oil in the world.
So
right?
true. And they've set a really good standard.
Yeah.
But we also need to make sure we've got other fats like avocado, for example, plant fats. Nuts are good sources of fat, not just a small amount of protein, but making sure we've got that incorporated throughout the day.
And I remember interviewing that chef Kylie Kwong years ago, and she was like, don't cut out fat from your diet because all the flavour is in the fat.
Well, it's true. And I think too, it's how we prepare it. So if we can also not overheat it when we're cooking, because we don't want to turn that fat into a bad fat. So monounsaturated fats, I can go on. Polyunsaturated fats, gosh, you'll have me here for days.
What is a monounsaturated fat versus a polyunsaturated fat?
Yeah, so monos are like the olive oils. The polys are more like the vegetable oils.
Like a sunflower oil or what's another type of polyunsaturated?
Yeah, you'll find them in all sources, including nuts, for example.
Okay.
Seeds. So we're talking about flax seeds, linseeds, all those sort of seeds.
Okay.
Also have those sources of both poly and monounsaturated fats.
Okay. See, there's just so many terms that are and so in terms of, if we think about our superannuation as high risk, medium risk, low risk, and your risk appetite helps determine your return on your financial investment, what foods would you say are high risk versus medium risk versus low risk once we're sort of over 50 and start thinking about these things?
Yeah, I think high risk foods, if we think of it that way, those are high sugar, obviously, and high saturated fat foods.
Okay.
I think a lot of people think a whole food means that if I'm having full cream milk or butter, that's safe, but it still has saturated fats that can really, example, affect your heart health.
Yeah.
So if we think about low risk foods, we're talking about whole grains, making sure we've got good sources of lean proteins, low saturated fat meats, making sure we're getting enough fibre. So that will improve and reduce our risk.
Okay. And fibre, we'll get onto that discussion. Now, since I started with Citro, I've learned a lot about diets. There's the DASH diet for blood pressure. The Mediterranean diet or a whole food diet seems to be the most well-researched because it's so flexible and it's based on exactly what you're talking about, which is whole foods that don't come in a packet, wide variety of colours at a meal so that you get lots of different nutrients. And that now there's intermittent fasting or time-restricted eating as well. So there's so many. We think we're moving away from diet culture because we don't do grapefruit diets anymore, but now we have all these other things. What's your view on these different diets and eating styles?
Yeah, I think it's really important, one thing. I think we forget about what we like to eat.
I don't. I never forget what I like to eat.
And I always say to patients, it's good to follow a theory, but do they know you? And where are you in your health needs? So, for example, we're talking about this group of 50-year-olds and above, and I am part of that team. I think it's important to look at what's your health requirement. So are we looking after your bone health? Are we looking after your skin health, your gut health? Are we looking after your cardiovascular health? And are we getting those nutrients in your eating plan?
Yeah, okay.
So I think for a lot of patients I'm seeing where they're doing this food restriction, they're delaying their meal times or maybe intermittent fasting, are we getting what you need for your nutrients, like I mentioned, your macro, your micro, and your grains and your fibres? Are we getting that in your day?
And so let's chat about what that means. If you are only eating 2 meals a day like I try to do, what should I be having in a meal?
Yeah, so I would say, well, firstly, when you do decide to eat, you need to actually have 30 grams of fibre a day. So that's going to be a big task if you're only having
2 meals.
2 meals. So I'll be refining what you're doing with your food. I'll be looking at the amount of balance of protein and carb you're having at that meal time. So you're still managing to have that low GL to help that stable glucose release through your day. Because if you're not having that balance, your risk of then running out of glucose, having even hypoglycemia, which is a low glucose, you might find you'll get really tired. Sorry, Alex.
I've been tired for years, Geraldine.
So I would say that it's really just important that you have someone look at, are you meeting, it might sound really simple, like are you getting your 5 serves of vegetables, 2 serves of fruit?
I definitely try to do that.
Are we getting the balanced protein? And how does that marry up against your health? Like when was your last blood test, and are we supporting your body's needs? So that's what I know. And so, obviously, again, Mediterranean, there's a lot of research around that. Like we're talking about extra virgin olive oil, making sure we've got good fibres, lean fats, lots of omega-3s and fish. So I would say whatever framework you're looking at, are we getting the key nutrients that you need?
Yeah, and I guess we all love discovering a superfood like extra virgin olive oil. People are hailing it as like a miracle when really we've had it for centuries.
I know.
Which is kind of funny. Yeah. But is there such a thing as a superfood, or really is it about everything we eat in combination?
Yeah, I think firstly, yes, what we eat in combination matters. But I think because I've been working a lot in gut health, believe it or not, the superfood, and you might think I'll say the same thing a lot of times, are we getting enough fibre?
Okay.
Because we've got to keep the people in the village, so our commensal species, which we'll go on to with gut health, are we nourishing from within?
Okay.
Because we're now realising the gut axes and the impact of our gut, and there's this word called metabolites, that actually then sends off conditions. You can have, you'll hear me say skin again, but also gut-brain axes, all these things. Right. Are we just the results of a puppet?
Because our gut, and the research here has been incredible over the last 10 to 20 years, our gut is our second brain.
Totally.
And our digestive system is how we fuel our body and our brain. Now, maybe in really simple terms, can you explain how that impacts brain health, skin health, And I think there's even oral microbiomes.
Yeah.
Like our body is alive with these little bacteria.
Yeah.
And what we eat affects the bacteria.
Yeah. So I think what I've been finding lately, again, back to the carb phobia,
Yep.
people are starving our gut microbiome.
Oh,
So the two
sounds
things
terrible.
the two things that are really important is the diversity of your gut microbiome and the quantity. And have we got
Okay.
enough numbers? Have we got enough species?
Yeah.
Now, if you think of those species, depending on their ratio or how they are living in your gut, they will help protect your gut microbiome or your gut environment to reduce. I know I'm going off now.
That's okay.
You've
No,
asked the scientists.
no. Because I think it's just hard for people to understand that there are
Yeah.
literally millions of different cultures
is.
living inside our body.
Totally.
And that's what the microbiome is. It's the interaction of all these different
Yeah.
bacteria that have good health effects.
That's right.
And dysbiosis is the scientific term, but that
Correct.
just means your bacteria aren't having a funky time, right?
Well, they're having a little war in there. I mean, in my book I wrote, what is in Las Vegas doesn't always stay in Las Vegas. So
give me an example of what gut dysbiosis, which is what people like you and medical doctors would call it. What does that really mean to everyday people?
Yeah. So it just means that you, again, are we nourishing our gut? We're getting enough fibres? Are we actually reducing our saturated fats? Are we avoiding high processed foods?
Yep.
Those nutrients will then feed the species that live in there.
Yep.
So think of your neighbours.
Yep.
All right. If your species aren't in the right ratio, which is the biosis or dysbiosis, then you may then have a metabolic effect that will have impact on your health.
And metabolic conditions are part of age-related disease, right? And decline. Very commonly, they're all interlinked, from what I understand. Can you explain a little bit about metabolic conditions? Because most of us just think that means fat or thin.
I know,
But it's not,
You know,
right?
you're sort of right, actually. I had a patient just yesterday that we diagnosed with insulin resistance.
Yeah.
But this person was a personal trainer, super fit, and was horrified to think that he could have something that could be associated with someone that's normally obese or overweight.
That's right.
Now, metabolic disease and how that evolves over time. Yes, you mentioned with age, but it's also genetic.
Yeah, that's right.
And then it's impacted with how we're eating, how active we are, other things that we don't always think about: stress, sleep, and are we actually, really nurturing and looking after our bodies? So if you have like grandpa with diabetes and you've got an aunt that's had a stroke, for example, sadly, you'll find that, you need to understand where you are in your metabolic health journey. And this is why it's really important. Like, we service our cars more than our bodies. We need to look at our logbook. Have we got any hints that there are changes?
Yeah.
When we're turning 50, for example, there are metabolic changes that we cannot control.
Like what?
So, for example, loss of estrogen.
That little one.
And that impact can then start having impact on your metabolism. Then the impact of the slowing of the metabolism, if you're not rectifying how you're eating and meeting your calorie need, and again the balance, then you might find you have this cascade effect. And then all of a sudden you wake up one day, you get flagged by the GP, and you go, right, you've got cholesterol coming, you've got signs of fatty liver. So these are impacts from an involvement of lifestyle developing into a metabolic disease.
Yeah.
So once again, it may not just show on the scales.
That's right.
It may show that you've got a change of intra-abdominal fat. So what happens is when we're going into menopause, we can actually have a change of our body shape from being a pear.
Oh, I know that one. Yeah.
Where's my booty gone?
Yeah.
To then maybe increasing this intra-abdominal fat or abdominal fat. And that can
Belly
change.
fat is what the social media ads tell me it is.
Yeah, I know, we're seeing
I've
it all
got
the
tons of
time.
it, and those pictures are just horrific.
No, not nice. So, and then you can change from 20 to 44% of just the change of storage of fat just around that midriff area unknowingly. So you might think, scars aren't really moving, but it's changing within. And that's because of the hormonal changes and effects and the decline of our hormones at menopause. And then the impact of that, we start having changes the way we metabolize proteins, we have a change in the way we metabolize fats, and a condition known as insulin resistance can start to evolve.
Yep.
And then just the act of making more insulin can then start creating more storage of fat. And then this octopus effect of cholesterol, fatty liver, lowering of your good cholesterol, which is HDL, so I can make it sound all grim. And then from there,
Does sound pretty grim.
you start showing a sign of a touch of sugar or diabetes.
Yeah.
The issue with that is we don't need to wait for a train wreck.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, we just need to start thinking, okay, my body is changing, my dietary needs are different.
That's
so
right.
we need to look at, well, what is my calorie need? Do I need to revise this? Because my metabolism or the engine is slowing down.
And I mean, I've seen it written that we need less calories, but the reality is we also need more nutrition within less calories, which is kind of what makes it a bit of a head explosion. Like, how do you work that out? And I think that's why the Mediterranean diet becomes the go-to framework, because that's just so much easier to think of, right? It's you just eat unpackaged foods. Is sort of the easy way to think.
And I think what I'm seeing, and again, this could be a whole other topic, what tools we're using to help our patients, but I'm finding that protein.
Yeah, okay.
So we need to make sure we're getting enough protein in our diet, because sarcopenia, which is loss of muscle, it really evolves at this time.
That's right.
Resistance exercise is also important, and I understand Michelle's been here, so she's our expert. But understanding that whole synergy of what am I doing, how am I moving my body, and protein. Are we getting enough good protein throughout the day to meet our protein need? And then making sure we're factoring that in.
And what are some good ways to boost protein? So I know dietitians will talk a lot about lean meats, especially chicken. They love a bit of chicken breast, smoked salmon, you know, all those sorts of meaty sources. But a lot of people are trying to ease back on meat. How do you get enough protein if you do want to cut back on meat?
Yeah, it's tricky.
Yeah.
I think what we really should be aiming for at least 30 plant foods even over a week. Wow. So one of those foods then will be tofu. I think tofu is very versatile.
And tempeh, right?
Beautiful, yep. There's other proteins on the market like corn, Quorn mince. That's a mycoprotein from the mushroom family, think of it that way. But I think, again, looking at the meals and the recipes that you use, and have you got enough protein combined into that meal?
Yeah, it's really tough if you're trying to also get the 5 and 2,
you
know, fruit and veg in a day and the protein.
Yeah.
And in terms of carbs, though, which totally we've all become carb phobic. I now buy those low carb potatoes because they actually taste really good.
Yeah.
Especially when you put them in the air fryer.
Yum.
Yeah, they're quite delicious. But I'm just as much of a victim of that as everybody else, whereas the potato actually has a lot of magnesium and potassium. Like, it's got a lot of good stuff in it, yet we don't eat it as much as we should. How do you get that diversity without, you know, turning into someone who's literally in the kitchen all day?
Yeah. Well, I think there's quick and easy ways to increase your, for example, vegetable intake. I mean, like you mentioned, those 25% less carb type potatoes. But, you know, in reference to, you know, you may work, I did a shopping tour the other day. I do shopping tours with my patients.
Oh, do you?
And so it's like finding Where's Wally. But we, and so I'm going through the fresh section, and you'll find there are even vegetables that are pre-packaged for you, which we know.
Oh, yes.
So there's no,
I use those all the time.
throwing those into meals, stir fries, you know, all those sort of things. But I think just, I don't know, I find that, yes, meal prep could be good. I always find if you try and make one meal, make sure it serves two, so you've got the meal that night and the next meal the next day at least.
Yeah.
You know, don't be scared of a sandwich, a wrap, you know, soups. I mean, we're going into winter, so soup weather, fantastic way of getting those vegetables in, those root vegetables as you're mentioning.
Yep, exactly. And then in terms of sort of effectiveness of dietary approach to disease, given your interest in gut health, would you say that what's one of I suppose there isn't one simple hack. I think that's what you're kind of saying. But in terms of some of the effective ways food and intake can treat diseases and conditions, what would you put on the hierarchy of, consider this first to consider this least? So I'm talking about, everyone's obsessed with eliminating gluten just like they are eliminating carbs, right? We want to increase the protein we eat, which is also tricky. But what sort of tips, I guess, are at the top versus lower down?
I think whatever theory diet you want to follow, and it might sound very basic, but is it balanced?
Yeah, okay.
Right? Like we need to make what meets a meal requirement.
Yeah.
Like, do we just eat yogurt or do for breakfast or for a morning tea, or do we make sure that yogurt's got a good source of protein? Okay. You're adding a carbohydrate in the form of a vegetable, and how can I add some extra fibre?
So how would you do that if you wanted to have yogurt?
Yeah, so very simple. I mean, I can talk about a recipe out of the book, but
well, there's good recipes in it.
But I would say to you, choose something that's in a controlled portion to start with, because you might go a bit nuts with the volume, and then making sure have you got some seeds or nuts? Make sure that you keep those sort of things once you've opened the container in the fridge, because you don't want it to oxidize. You want to keep those nutrients, and then making sure what's in season. I think we need to think about foods in season as well, because if we don't, then what happens is we're not getting the nicest serve there either. But I think balance is very important with whatever you do. Yeah. And I plead with everybody to please keep your fibre intake going.
And let's talk about things that have fibre in them, right? Because I do remember in the 1980s there was the F-plan diet, which was this high fibre diet, and my mum was really into it at the time, and we were eating baked beans on potatoes.
Oh, wow.
It was very, very high fibre. But talk about what types of things that we don't think about when it comes to fibre.
Well, I think you just mentioned one. I think, legumes are a great way of increasing your fibre, and they're very versatile. And you can sneak them into things as well. That's it doesn't have to be just a big lump of lentils, for example. But I think, keeping skins on fruits, I think making sure you've got seeds and nuts scattered through the day. We do know that even just adding 1 to 2 cups of vegetables to a meal, and some people even eat meals in order now. So, for example, do we eat the veggies first, then the protein, then the carb?
Yeah.
So they all have merit. So I think, again, I said this much earlier on, do you like what you're eating?
Yeah. And
have a look at how you used to eat, and look at how you can incorporate that throughout the day. And don't be scared to add vegetables at breakfast.
Well, like what? Like which ones?
Well, let's make an omelette. And let's add extra veggies that way.
Yeah, okay.
And then having a nice whole grain sourdough or rye bread. Rye bread can really proliferate good microbiome in your gut.
Yeah, and rye bread and sourdoughs last longer as well than the packaged breads, so you can have them for ages without the food waste. Because I think that's part of the disheartening thing, is that you go to the supermarket thinking you're going to buy healthy, you buy all this food, and then you just rinsing out the crisper a week later with rotting vegetables because you couldn't eat them all.
Yeah. I think also too, there's a lot more sort of pickled varieties as well. So you've got the kimchis, all those fermented foods.
Pickles, gherkins.
Yeah, and all those can also help flourish good species, including kefir. So there's a lot more focus on that nurturing effect on our health.
So bringing a range of foods in to keep the diversity of bacteria flourishing.
You got it.
Now, in terms of skin and eating, now skin is actually bizarrely plays an important role in our immune system as well, right? Like it's an organ, and probably our largest organ, but most of us just think about it in terms of visual.
Yeah, true.
Visual effects. What do you need to do to eat well for your skin?
Yeah, that's a big loaded question.
I know.
I think it's really important to have antioxidants.
Okay. And what do you mean by antioxidants? I've heard the term. It's in a lot of my skincare as well. So how do you eat one?
So I think foods rich in vitamin C.
Yeah.
That's an example.
So like oranges, limes, lemons.
Exactly.
What else is rich in vitamin C?
So we think
berries.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you can get dried fruits as well, but again, watch the portion. I think it's also important that, fresh is best as well. I know that omega-3s are very important as well because they're anti-inflammatory.
Can you talk about omega-3s?
Yes.
Because I think we all know that salmon has it and fish oil supplements have it. But what else has omega-3s in it?
So flaxseed, linseeds. So think about, again, what breads you're eating. Are you getting a source of that? And then also too, chia seeds. And they make great chia pudding, for example.
Oh, yeah.
So, we can actually zhoosh up a recipe like that, getting enough protein. I'm not against having a protein supplement. There's a lot of research with collagen, for example, that can have a real benefit. Verisol, which is a form of collagen, can really help that dermis layer. So I think, again, whatever you're choosing, don't just choose one food group. Put it together.
Okay. Yeah, okay. And make your meals delicious.
Yes,
because that's the most important thing.
Yeah, totally.
Don't eat too much of it.
Yeah.
There's also an issue with vitamin D. As people get older, it's really, really easy. Even younger people are deficient in vitamin D, but as you get older, apparently it's more common, the deficiency in vitamin D. How do we eat our way out of a deficiency in vitamin D?
Yeah, very difficult.
Because it's a tricky little nutrient, that vitamin D, isn't it?
So vitamin D is found in many protein foods and eggs, for example. But cod liver oil is another source, or great source of vitamin D.
It's not very delicious though, cod liver oil.
Back in the day, they used to give you teaspoons of it.
I know.
So I usually, with most of my patients, obviously test vitamin D is important for bone health.
Yeah, that's right.
And then some people take vitamin D with K to actually help the absorption of the vitamin D in the supplement.
Okay.
But once again, have a look where you're starting from. So if you're if you're less than 75 milliunits per litre on your blood test, you would definitely need to have either just sun exposure, safe sun exposure with sunscreen, of course.
Okay.
But I would also recommend just to keep an eye and look at seeing if you need also a vitamin D supplement.
Okay, because, Kate Langbrook, she does sun gazing every morning now.
Oh, wow.
A, for her eyes, and B, because she likes looking at the sun and getting the sunlight. So,
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, I know. I was like, wow, okay, I didn't know about that. And our heart and cardiovascular health, they're still very big killers. And our diet can play a very big role there. Talk to me about eating for heart and cardiovascular health.
So with cardiovascular health, once again, it's important to see where you are with that health to start with. Is it just looking at your cholesterol? Do you need a calcium score to see if you've actually got calcification in your arteries? So then you'll know, is it just a dietary change together with exercise, or do I need to also seek medical help?
Okay.
So just know that. Where do you stand with your heart first?
And is the most important test there just a cholesterol test? Like, where would you start?
Yeah, so usually obviously see your GP. Cholesterol test will be somewhere to start. Look at your family history. If you had long-standing cholesterol, because some people are fighting to not have medication, again, maybe getting a calcium score, seeing cardiologist, having a stress test. So it's really important to know where you're starting from. So from a dietary change, look at your saturated fats, look at your glucose metabolism. Okay. Is there any signs of diabetes? Because that will compound and even be the cause of cholesterol changes as well.
Okay.
And then interestingly, again, gut microbiome, there's a lot of research in different species that can actually help support reducing cholesterol uptake in your gut to then reduce the cholesterol in your bloodstream.
Exactly.
And then are we getting enough fibre? And making sure, because fibre itself can also help with pulling cholesterol out of your system. So it's really important to have a look at all those things and working with a dietitian and your doctor.
It really is. And the other really important consideration as we get older, or maybe it's just me and my knees, but knees and joint health and back problems, can eating an anti-inflammatory diet help with that sort of niggly little pain that we get as we get older? Yeah,
indeed. Like there's a lot of research, omega-3s, curcumin, watching your weight, understanding what you're eating, regulating your glucose, regulating your insulin. So if you've got elevated insulin, your glucose may look normal, but you've got more insulin floating around, and the effect of making more insulin to move your glucose through your body can actually put an inflammation on your joint itself.
Ah, right.
So some of the rheumatologists I work with, we actually run these tests to see, have we got too much insulin circulating? Is there a medical approach together with dietary change, low GI, balanced protein, good fat? And then do we need to give you some support nutrition to also help with reducing that joint inflammation?
Wow. And you told me about this new protocol that it costs a couple of $100, so there's definitely a fee involved. But talk to me about this gut health protocol and how that can work to manage age-related conditions.
Yeah, it's like when I see my patients, I put them on a hoist.
you go under the hood, so to speak.
So we can actually now see like a window into your gut health, looking at your commensal species, looking to see if there's any pathogens and understanding if we need to, what fibres you need more of. Like there's a whole lot of food fibres, but there's also supplementation you might need to end up improving this if we find this dysbiosis or imbalance of your gut microbiome. But if we have a pathogen, for example, so I've had some amazing experiences.
So what do you mean by a pathogen?
Yeah,
Describe what that is. That's usually like a bad bacteria of some kind, right?
Or a parasite. So if people have been, who put your hand up, you've been to Bali?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give you my phone number later.
I got salmonella in Bali as well.
Yeah. I'm sorry to hear that.
That was a long time ago.
That's not
we haven't
fun.
been back since.
But surprisingly, there are actual, so if you think of them as incursions, that can, E. coli, for example, can actually drive a condition, for example, underlying lupus.
Wow.
So I have patients that come to me for the anti-inflammatory diet.
Yeah.
But again, check there's nothing there driving inflammation. Let's not fuel that inflammation. So if we can check and also understand you and then bring that together, we can then help reduce your inflammation.
So how would you test for, because obviously you test for different types of gut bacteria in this test, but how do you test for pathogens and what sort of, what does this report kind of look like when it comes back to you and how do you read it?
Yeah. So this company that I'm referring to, though, you do take a stool specimen, but you might remember
poo. That's a poo specimen.
It. I know, saying it nicely. Don't want to put anyone off if they're eating while they're listening to this. But you also, with the COVID where we do the swab, there's also a swab test off the stool, off the toilet paper.
Okay.
And that gets sent away.
Disgusting.
And they actually have different measures, so they can actually see the pathogens together with what's actually present. And they can actually see the species through DNA. So it's like the scene of the crime, like CSI, and we can actually look to see has there been any DNA left behind.
So it's like forensic poo examination to sort your gut health.
It's like forensic dietetics.
Oh my God.
But we have some wow factors. So and interestingly, I'm doing a lot of work with the Centre of Digestive Diseases.
Yes, I know him.
Yeah, so we've got some synergistic work with do we give you a fecal microbe transplant because
that's a poo transplant. Everybody.
Yes, that's right. and some people definitely need that because they've got chronic illness. They've got not just IBS, but inflammatory bowel, and they've got what you call mucin degradation and intestinal permeability, which is then creating their whole disease process. But once again, it's like planting a plant. Yeah. If you don't water it and feed it, then the FMT won't work itself either. So you need to work holistically and a multidisciplinary approach.
Yeah. So we did a story for Citro about poo transplants.
Oh, yes.
And it's on the site. But
Wonderful.
It's fascinating
Isn't
that
it?
people can just have a little bit of healthy poo transplanted. You don't have to eat it. But it doesn't enter your body in a nice way.
Yeah.
But it can totally change their lives in some cases.
It can do. And I think we're learning more and more as we are. So I think, again, it's very important to make sure we've got a good nutritional plan to support people through that process as well.
And I mean, gut health doesn't just affect digestive processes. We talked a little bit about brain health, but there's some fascinating research coming out of Australian unis down in Victoria about gut health and psychiatry, food and mood.
Completely.
It's fascinating. Could you want to summarise that? for people and sort of talk
it's
about
a
what it
big
means?
task,
Yeah,
but basically, again, what's happening within can actually affect your brain health. And then there's a condition even like visceral hypersensitivity, where you might be sensing that you do have gut pain and you feel like you're not well. But what's actually happening is because of the dysbiosis, you're getting more gut-brain messages that aren't really there. So you need to then, again, look at how you're going to nourish and understand what's actually happening. One of the jobs I work in, or areas I work in, is in gut motility. So in reference to what's happening from your esophagus, stomach, to your small bowel and your large bowel.
Is that really just how quickly you poo?
It can be. And some people don't. So then we need to understand what stopped that mechanism. Or the stomach doesn't release its contents, which is called gastroparesis. So again, this whole how the gut is communicating with the brain and the messages to actually function can really impact people.
That's so interesting.
So you need to then help hold their hand. There's a lot of work. You may have heard about hypnosis and other areas in reference to managing the gut-brain axes and understanding, because it's like you've had a sore foot. And then you notice you've had a sore foot, so you walked a different way. But what if the foot's healed, but you still feel like you've got a sore foot? So it's that message that you're getting that is a mixed message, and being able to turn that around.
That's like my mixed message that tells me I always need chocolate, right? What's wrong with that?
Well, that could be a glycemic thing, but anyway.
it actually really might be. So in terms of ultra-processed foods, we're starting to hear and read a lot about ultra-processed foods. What's an ultra-processed food versus a regular processed food?
Yeah, so those foods that have been so processed, they're high in trans fats, they're high in sugar, they're pretty much turned into not the original food.
Are they? Give me some examples of what they might be in the supermarket.
So it could be something like an ultra-processed food could be something like beef jerky, or something that's got lots of salt added and flavours, and it's not really a piece of meat anymore, if that makes sense.
So it's chemically altered?
It could be some of those artificially sweetened products that you're thinking, wow, it's got no calories, but it's so processed because it's had so many additives, flavours. I mean, a hint is look at the ingredients list.
Yeah, okay.
How many ingredients have been put in there.
Yeah.
So I think you need to ask, is this still really a food, or is this being manufactured to think I'm having something that's free of calories, free of sugar, but what have we done to it to make it that in that space?
So often, I think what I'm hearing you say is that often we think it's a healthier choice because it might be low sugar or low fat or high protein, but really it's ultra processed. And in terms of our risk scale that we talked about, would they be high-risk foods?
Yeah, they will be, because they're high salt, they've got lots of chemicals added. I think people get a false sense of fullness, but they're not getting the nutrition.
Yeah, that's
another food that comes to mind is using foods that are actually not very digestible.
Like what?
Like konjac root.
Oh, yeah. I've used that.
And konjac noodles. And I worry about that because some people can get what we call a bezoar, where it's actually a food that won't digest.
Oh, what's this food? I've never heard of a bezoar.
Bezoar. So some people, if their stomach's not working really well, or you've got a food that is not very digestible, think of when a cat coughs up a fur ball. So
bezoars are like human fur balls.
Food. Yeah. So you have to be really worried about some of the foods that if they are completely indigestible.
Okay.
Or are they very slow to digest?
Yeah.
Are they then also impacting and binding up the way you digest the other food you put with it?
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay. That's really interesting.
Isn't it? And there's a lot of people, for example, that might be having a fibre supplement because they're trying to look after their bowels.
Yeah, like Metamucil or something like
that.
That's
fibre might be binding up the nutrients that you've just eaten. So then you won't absorb your iron. So,
Geraldine.
Yeah, I know. So you've got to be really mindful. You could be doing too much of a good thing.
Yeah.
And it's all about when.
And I definitely read in a new piece of research came out about supplement overload, because we all think a supplement will just immediately help us be healthy, and I take it as an insurance policy. But sometimes you're getting too much of something by combining your supplements.
Well, and one of the nutrients that we've found that can be quite toxic is vitamin B6.
Oh.
So there's been a TGA warning to really look at your B6 and are you overlapping with that in all your vitamins, because if that elevates in your bloodstream, it can lead to a condition called peripheral neuropathy. So
what does that mean?
So you basically start to
lose
not
feeling.
feel your feet and your fingers, and if left over time, it can be damaging. So,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, and that was actually something that I'm seeing a lot of. So even, again, when I put the patient on the hoist and do the bloods and see if we've got to do a stools test and whatever else working with the doctor, I find that some people might come and go, I think I've got B12 deficiency because I'm getting these symptoms, but it's actually that they're toxic with B6. So it's really important that seek advice, make sure if you are taking vitamins, cross-check them with people.
Yeah,
people that are expert, not just the person that's selling it off the shelf.
Yeah.
Get expert opinion.
Yeah, so do we get B6 through our diet as well?
Yeah, it comes from many foods like whole grains, for example, bread, cereals, but and Vegemite even, and other nutrients. But once again, that will be not at a level that will become toxic.
Okay.
So it won't be coming from a food, it'll be coming from a vitamin. So often I've had to go find that.
So do supplements in Australia have to have B6 on the side so you can see how much you're getting in your supplements?
And they'll even give you a warning if it's already at a certain level. Okay. But is everyone reading the fine print?
And also some people are buying vitamins online where you don't have to have that labelling requirement, right?
Yeah, well, possibly, yeah. So, good to know.
So I'm now going to get to the rapid fire part of the conversation.
Bracing myself.
Yes,
right,
it's actually very easy.
Okay,
so
here we go.
First up, I'm going to give you just 2 choices.
Oh, yes.
And it might be dog or cat, and you choose, I like cats.
Okay.
It's just automatic, and it will help us reveal a bit more about you.
Uh-oh.
Salt or sugar?
Salt.
Why is that?
Well, I was thinking about this.
Because it's a tricky one, right?
So top of mind, people, electrolytes.
Yeah.
You can buy salts that are rich in iodine because our soils aren't high in iodine, and iodine looks after your thyroid. And thirdly, I do have a lot of patients with POTS, postural orthostatic tachycardia.
Oh, what is that?
I know. I could be here for days, where people are having experiences with the way their heart is working. So they might be getting flutters. They might feel like they will faint. It's actually a condition that's diagnosed with cardiologists with a tilt table test. But these people actually need extra salt.
Okay.
So the question is, who needs salt and do people need more? So that's a total conversation
Next
itself.
question, because we all assume salt is bad for blood pressure and we shouldn't have it, but actually what you're saying is in some cases we need it.
Exactly. So it depends on the patient or the person.
Exactly. Bit like your superannuation. It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor, you've got to work out what you want before you start thinking about it and what you need. Now, avocado toast or peanut butter toast?
Avocado.
Why is that?
Well, again, monounsaturated fats.
Yeah, okay.
Tastes delicious when you put salt, pepper and lemon on there. It does. And I think that, you're getting, adding to one of my plant foods.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So you're getting one of your veggies in with it, whereas peanut butter, you're just getting a nut.
Getting a nut.
And you might have too big a serve, right? Because peanut butter, you need a lot of it.
Yeah, we can do. Yeah.
Well, I need a lot of everything. Dark chocolate or milk chocolate?
Oh, of course, dark chocolate.
Why though?
Well, it's very concentrated, right? So it is hard to overeat on dark chocolate.
Yeah, because it's just not
Wouldn't
as
you agree?
moreish. Yeah, totally. I'd rather have milk chocolate.
And it's rich in nutrients. So it's got, your cocoa powder or cocoa.
Yeah.
It's a good polyphenol. It's giving me those extra nutrients. I always think, can I make this food that I'm eating functional?
Yeah, okay.
Do I get that added benefit? We always want that added benefit.
Acai bowl or eggs for breakfast?
Oh, well, that's a giveaway.
Well, you've already had eggs for this morning.
And eggs are so versatile. Like, eggs are rich in choline.
What's choline?
Choline is a nutrient found in eggs. It's really good for your brain health.
Okay.
Just really, really important for, just our general health and well-being, that added benefit. Great source of protein. It's filling.
Yeah.
So I can go for hours just on an egg on toast.
Yeah, that is true. But it's not quite as delicious as an acai bowl.
Mm-hmm.
And I can delude myself that they're healthy because they put lots of fruit and things on it.
They do look pretty.
Yeah, they do. They do.
Yeah.
But they now serve them as desserts, which might be a hint that it's not really healthy. Red wine or white wine?
Oh, well, red wine, of course, because it's got great sorts of antioxidants and polyphenols, and again, that added benefit. It can, you can enjoy a steak with a nice small glass of red wine.
Yeah, portion control with wine,
totally.
Right?
2 to 4 standard drinks per week is what I recommend.
Yeah, that would be right. Coffee or tea?
Well, I was going to say tea. Yeah. But I was also going to say coffee as well. I couldn't decide. So I think coffee, because it also helps cognition.
Ah, yeah.
It's a source of antioxidants as well.
Yeah.
I think you need to be careful with coffee. So, again, keep to maybe no more than 2 a day.
Okay.
I think coffee will be my pick.
And when we did our chat with Dr. Natasha Cook, green tea came up as because we asked a question about spermidine, which is now considered some amazing new skincare product.
Oh, yes. I know. I've heard about it. It's from salmon, isn't it?
Yeah.
Something like that.
But then she mentioned green tea is probably better than as a preserver of things.
Or as an antioxidant.
Yeah.
And that's true. I don't know. I mean, I was thinking about food preference as well. Again, remember I keep saying, what do you like?
Exactly. Yep. What do you like? Now, the next one is definitely about what you like, because I have very strong feelings about this next question. Tim Tams or mint slice?
Wow. I actually said can't choose. I think the most exciting thing about those 2 little bickies is that they can make them they actually are gluten-free now on the supermarkets. So they've got gluten-free versions of them.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And childhood for me will be a mint slice. So.
Oh, see, I have a thing about mint in my sweet foods. I think I don't want toothpaste in my chocolate biscuit.
How interesting.
I have very strong opinions. And I've met people that definitely love the mint slice over the Tim Tam, and I'm like, that's an atrocity. That's not right.
But you might get a breath freshener at the same time.
But
again, portion control.
Totally.
Yeah. But you can find them gluten-free, which is exciting.
Well, it is exciting. And my mum has developed IBS as she's gotten older, and so she's only become gluten intolerant is technically the term, and she's on a FODMAP eating plan.
Right.
I'm like hoping that's not in my gene pool. I couldn't think of anything worse.
And there could be a whole topic about that, because there's 4 categories about gluten sensitivity now.
Oh my God.
So you've got the celiac, you've got the wheat allergy, you've got the IBS, and you've also got the non-celiac gluten sensitivity.
Wow. And I know you do cover that in the book. You cover pieces of that. Cook at home or eat out?
Well, that was a bit tricky. Like, who doesn't love going out for dinner?
Exactly. Makes food a pleasure.
It does. But I do enjoy cooking. So I thought, if I was to eat at home, and what would be my favourite meal to cook, I'd most probably go with something like even just a chicken and vegetable soup.
Okay.
Because it's therapeutic. You chop, 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 and you can always have leftovers next day, and it lasts a couple of days. So
that's very true. Chocolate or ice cream?
I would still go with chocolate, just because if I'm choosing dark chocolate, then I'll mostly control my portion.
Yeah, okay. And you'll get that sweet treat or that sense of it. Oh, you're very good. You see, of course, dietitians are always like the role models.
But you didn't ask me about hot chips.
Are they your weakness, hot chips?
So true, but again, they've got to be good ones and homemade all the way.
You like them homemade? Oh, see, that's why I really like those low-carb potatoes. If you microwave them first to get them a little bit soft and then do them in the air fryer, you don't even need a fat, and they crisp up.
Delicious.
Oh, my God, they're so good.
There you go.
I didn't realise a low-carb potato could taste so unhealthy. It's good. It's really good. Now, I'm going to ask you some questions to reveal a bit more about your food choices, because you know so much.
All right.
I know you've just revealed this. I'm going to ask you, what did you last eat? But maybe tell us what you last ate for dinner, because we know what you had for breakfast.
So for dinner, the last thing I ate was steak.
Steak?
Yes.
And what do you serve that with?
So I had that with a little rocket salad.
Yeah? How do you make your rocket salad?
So I just have some balsamic vinegar, a bit of shaved parmesan on there, and then I just had some baked potato.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And is that a balanced meal according to an accredited practicing dietitian?
It is from the balance of protein, carb and a good fat. And I had extra virgin olive oil on my rocket salad.
Excellent. Your favourite cookbook?
Well, I was going to say, I have written a couple, and I was going to say Australian Healthy Skin Diet, of course. However, growing up, well, actually, more so since being married, I married a Greek man.
Yes.
And there's this cookbook that I love called Tesmelos.
I love that cookbook.
Middle Eastern cookery book.
Oh, I don't have a Middle Eastern one. I've got a Greek one.
Yeah, so that covers everybody. So it's got Greek and Cypriot in there because my mother-in-law's Greek, father-in-law's Cypriot. So I had to keep everyone happy. And I pretty much self-taught myself out of that book how to cook Greek food.
Yeah, because Tess Mallows is like the Margaret Fulton.
Unbelievable.
Her recipes are fantastic.
Yes.
My best friend is half Greek, and she gave me that cookbook when I turned 21 for my housewarming present.
There you go.
And I've still got it.
There you go. So that's showing age.
It's got a lot of food splatters on it, that cookbook. But it does have the best sort of Greek lamb casserole recipes. Like
Delicious.
They're all just called something really simple, right? There's nothing
and
fancy.
phonetically spelt.
Correct.
So you can say it the Greek way too.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I can. But yeah. Moussaka.
Yeah. Or avga.
What's your favourite recipe out of that book, though?
Well, I actually like the avga recipe.
What's that?
Which is a chicken rice lemon soup.
Oh.
Yeah. I feel like I'm profesh when I make that one.
Okay, I'll look that one up.
Yeah.
What's one food that's always in your fridge?
Yeah, I was thinking about that. And I wonder, just off the top of my head, I would say eggs.
Eggs. Okay.
Yeah, even though they're so expensive.
They are at the moment.
I know.
They're really, really
I
expensive.
know.
I bought some the other day and 2 of them were broken. I
Oh,
was
no.
like, why didn't I check that?
That was $3.50.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, so annoying.
But no, eggs are always there.
And how do you like to cook them?
Well, I cook them many different ways. I might make savoury French toast.
Oh.
What's
savoury French
Where I
toast?
put the bread and the egg, and then I put it in a little bit of extra virgin olive oil, and then brown it. And just before I flip it, I put a little bit of Parmesan cheese.
Oh.
Flip it back over, and you get a crispy, cheesy French toast.
Oh.
I know.
That sounds delicious.
And then other ways, just simply making an omelette, as I mentioned before, adding those extra veggies.
Yeah.
They can be either a meal, breakfast, lunch, or dinner.
Yeah, I call it frittata, and that's
Yeah.
what I do when I have to clean out my crisper.
Yeah.
Get the eggs and the vegetables
That's
and
it.
cook them all up.
You can make a meal.
Yeah, it's really good, especially with cheese. Now, do you take any vitamins or supplements?
I do actually. Just because, again, in this age group, and if you like us, we're working, time poor, so you don't always get all that nutrition you need. So my vitamins I take, vitamin D.
Yeah.
I take an omega-3.
Well, yep.
I also take a fibre. The fibre that I take is it's called PHGG, or partially hydrolyzed guar gum. People think I'm talking about myself because it's GG.
I know. I've never heard of that.
Yeah, so that's like, again, a functional fibre.
So it's not the psyllium husk?
No, it's a soluble fibre, but it helps nourishing your gut. And it's just from research and knowing that there are some good fibres out there.
And what's it called again? Say it again.
If you remember, PHGG.
For GG, for Geraldine Georgiou.
That's it, Geraldine Georgiou.
PHGG. And do you just get that anywhere you get normal fibre supplements?
You may find it more in a sort of a health
food
store. And then I am known to have a protein powder for smoothie recipes.
Okay, so you like a smoothie?
Yeah, and I may use a collagen protein because, again, it's a protein with function.
Okay.
Rather than just innate protein.
So you would treat that collagen protein like a whey protein or a plant-based protein, and you just replace it directly.
So I may do that. And sometimes I might have a multi because, once again, are we always getting all our nutrition? But obviously monitor yourself. Don't just start taking things without knowing if you need them.
Yeah, I think that's pretty key, right? And in terms of you're tired, you've gotten home from work and you've got to cook a meal, what's your quickest and easiest go-to meal?
Yeah, I was thinking, again, you might think I say the same thing 100 times. If I'm really time poor, out will that omelette will be, like you said, look in the crisper. It might be just making, I might have some protein of some kind. Like it doesn't take long to just quickly heat up, a piece of steak or some lamb cutlets or something like that.
Okay.
And doing a little side of some, asparagus or something like that. And if I don't have a carb vegetable, then maybe I'll finish with a piece of fruit.
Okay.
Because sometimes too, as you may, and I'm sure everyone listening, they might notice this, that, you're hungry, a meal might have been 5-6 hours ago, and you get that sweet sort of feeling.
Yep.
So then you can have a piece of fruit after it and maybe even a dollop of yogurt, because once again, every time you have a carb, always chase it with a protein. So, to keep that steady glucose response.
So when I last worked with you, I discovered this Farmers Union vanilla yogurt.
Oh, yes.
Oh, my gosh. It's just so delicious. It tastes like ice cream, but surely it can't be good for me, can it?
Yeah. Well, it can be. It's going to have its natural probiotic benefit, but I think there's also some protein-boosted Farmers Union yogurts out there as well. So,
Yeah,
so,
I've seen a lot of those now. So you recommend the protein-boosted yogurts?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Especially if you're over 50, because 30 grams of protein at every meal. Oh, my gosh. How are you gonna,
it could be very hard.
It's quite hard to do.
Yeah, especially if you're only eating 2 meals a day.
I know. She's shaming me.
Not at all. Not at all. It's all right. We'll have a chat later.
It's okay. I agree. It is really difficult. And what foods do you crave? Like, we talked about your dark chocolate because you're a good dietitian.
I don't know. I'm a bit more of a savoury sort of person.
Yeah, okay.
You know, and sometimes I think, there's nothing better than like a little cheese board, right? But then how do you eat something like that and not have all that saturated fat? So, you know, I love that figs are in season at the moment.
Oh, yeah, I love figs.
And you can get like these little blue cheesy type things that are in small portions.
Yes,
so maybe
I've seen
having
those.
one of those on a little half fig, you know, it sort of makes you sweet and savoury at the same time.
Oh, okay.
But there's nothing better than just having and making little charcuterie, you know, get some cut up carrot, get some cucumber, just so you don't go back for more.
Yeah,
But again,
okay.
you know, because obviously it's a little bit higher in saturated fat. But, you know, I think it's also nice. There's so many different types of dips out there and vegetable dips, and there's nothing better than just even getting a little plate together and pop some hummus and some crackers.
And hummus is a divisive topic in my circle of friends, because what's the best hummus? Like, we have found, and we argue till the cows come home, one likes Yumi's and another one likes the Aldi version of hummus, and I'm like, I'm suspecting they're the same brand, right?
Because possibly. I just look at the obviously ingredients.
Yeah.
Less ingredients, better.
Okay. So you choose the least processed.
Indeed. And I just, you know, and I think also sometimes just making sure you don't be careful of the huge pot.
I've been known to love
and
a pot.
try and put your portion out, because before you know it, you might eat the whole thing. And we all know what happens if you eat too many chickpeas in one go. So
yeah, we won't
so
go
you may
back
not
to
have
those
friends.
conversations. Yeah. And in terms of healthy snacks, so I know most dietitians, they talk about balance in terms of the variety, 5 and 2, but you will often talk about 3 meals a day with 2 snacks as well. Yeah. Talk to me about those snack options.
Yeah. So, well, like I described a minute ago, like cut up veggies with a dip, vegetable dip, maybe a slice of reduced fat cheese. That could be a nice little combo with some whole grain crackers.
Okay.
There's nothing wrong with having a piece of toast, grainy bread with a bit of peanut butter and a cup of tea, that green tea we were talking about before.
Yeah, okay.
You know, that could be a really good snack. It really depends on how hungry you are.
Yeah.
I think sometimes people, you know, a high protein yogurt with some berries could be another little snack that you can have. There's some really good nut protein bars out there that aren't too high in sugar. Again, that missing protein that we need, and still some carb, but still controlled carb, low GI.
Okay.
So there's lots to choose from. I think you just got to be, again, I'll bang on about, have we got a protein, have we got a carb, have we got a good fat at every meal?
Okay.
And don't just have an apple, because, for example, apples are great, but put apple with peanut butter, because at the end of the day, you get that low GL, that low glycemic response. Because really you're having a snack. Think of the way we eat is a pit stop with top-up fuel. Just like we're going to drop into the petrol station to top up our car, a mini top-up is still a top-up of fuel. So is that fuel going to be a slow-release fuel?
Okay. And if I need to order Uber Eats and get takeaway food, what's my best choice?
Yeah. I would say for me, I choose something that I can get vegetables. So, for example, I've got a wonderful local Chinese that does gluten-free. And because I'm actually a celiac, so
you're celiac. So's my Greek friend. She's a celiac.
Oh wow,
as well.
There you go. And
that's hardcore being celiac.
Yeah, it's been more than 2 decades. I know. I think it's part of me now. But and so very grateful there's restaurants around me that make an effort, and I might just order, you know, a lamb, think of beef and black bean or Mongolian lamb, but I always add extra vegetables. Or I get another vegetable side dish and also add some tofu to that.
Okay.
And so then the rice portion will be small. And again, I've got little protein veggie combos.
Yep.
And then I've got that extra bit of carb. And I order enough so I've got leftovers next day, of course.
Yeah, I always do that too. But do you say, what type of rice would you eat that with?
Well, they won't have – I usually recommend basmati,
Yeah.
Basmati whole grain or usual basmati rice. They won't have that. But again, the portions, about half a cup.
It's so tiny, half a cup.
That's why we ask for extra vegetables.
Excellent. Well, we're going to draw this to a close. I will say I have cooked recipes from this Healthy Skin Diet book and they are really delicious.
Oh, thank you.
They're very yummy. And the information in there it's eye-opening and surprising. Like it's not just your usual go-to stuff. So I really thank you for sharing your wisdom with us today.
Thank you.
And you'll find everything on the Midlife Shift.
Beautiful.
Subscribe and follow. And thank you again.
Thank you so much, Alex.
See ya.
The Midlife Shift is hosted by Alex Brooks and produced by Bron Mandil. Music by Shinto, production by Wisecast Studios, published by Citro in Sydney, Australia.